We are answering all of your questions for the very first time. Hi, if you're new here, my name's Alyssa, and on this side of the internet, we talk about all things sustainability, conscious consumption, thrifting, community. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick around and subscribe or find me on all other social platforms. Y'all submitted some great questions on my community post. I don't think I'm going to get through all of them, but I'm going to go through as many as I can before I feel like this video is getting too long. But if you end up liking this format, please let me know and we can do it again so that I can get all of your questions answered. We've got questions about climate anxiety, sustainability, sustainable product recommendations, thrifting recommendations. So let's just dive into it. Our first question is tips for dealing with climate/political anxiety about the state of the world. Also, thank you for saying you love the videos. I think many people who work in the climate space or are just interested in the climate or political space have this feeling at one time or another in some way or another. I first and foremost want to say, if this is something that is seriously affecting your life day in and day out, I want you to please go seek professional help. Lord only knows that my therapist knows everything about my climate and political anxiety. I am obviously not a mental health provider, not a professional, but there's two things that always make me feel a little bit better. And I'm telling you right now, even though it sounds a little counterproductive, both of those things involve disconnecting from my phone. When I say disconnect from your phone, I don't mean become uninformed or that you necessarily have to delete all of your social media apps. If you're looking for a screen time app that's better than the built-in screen time apps on iOS, this is not a sponsorship, by the way. I'm just trying to help you out and show you what I use. I use this app called Be Present, and what I like about it is it can lock me out in the morning and in the evenings when I'm deciding I'm not working for the day or that I want to be off my phone for the rest of the day, and it can shut you out of literally everything. And then I'm able to put extra parameters on social media apps like Instagram and TikTok that I tend to open throughout the day to where I only get a certain amount of opens for a certain amount of time. This allows me to scroll a little bit, see the news, know what's going on, but also knowing that when 7 p.m. comes around, at least for my settings, that at the end of the day, I gotta put food on the table, I gotta get my house clean, I gotta feed my pets, I gotta take my dog on a walk, and I know that I'm still going to get my life taken care of after 7 p.m. Instead of just doom scrolling all night long, which I have definitely done before. What I also like about this app is it puts a little widget on your home screen that tells you your streak. So I've been within the parameters I set for myself for 51 days straight, and I'm afraid to break that streak, so I won't override the app because I don't want my streak to go away. So once we've disconnected from the phone, okay, now we're going to actually try to actively make ourselves feel better. And that doesn't mean you're ignoring what's going on or that you don't have empathy for what's going on. But the first thing is indulging in some kind of hobby or activity. So I like creative hobbies, but some people like working out or hiking or more social hobbies. Personally, I enjoy reading, coloring, drawing, writing. These are easy hobbies to pull out on a daily basis, even if I needed to. I can do them quickly to help ease my mind a little bit. And what I like about these hobbies is it doesn't necessarily turn my brain off per se, but it slows it down and I start thinking more rationally, I start thinking more hopefully, and I'm able to come to the realization of things like if I lose hope or if others lose hope, then we have already lost, right? Especially in the world that we live in that desperately wants you to feel hopeless so that you do nothing. And indulging in these hobbies that are really low stress helps kind of reopen up my brain a little bit so that I'm more likely to actually do something. That leads me to step number 2. If I find myself spiraling for long periods of time, so more than a few hours, more than an evening, I don't care how bad I feel, I sign up to go volunteer. I'm not kidding. I myself typically go on United Ways. I find something near me or something I've been meaning to volunteer for, and I sign up for it without giving myself the chance to think too hard. So inevitably, I'll end up showing up. And there's a lot of great climate orgs in St. Louis, but it doesn't have to necessarily be a climate org. It can just be about something you care about. But showing up and talking to people and being surrounded by people who are actively fighting for the same thing you are and actively trying to make tangible change in their community. Whether it's a cleanup, whether it's a tree planting event, whether it's volunteering at a community garden, whether it's volunteering at the food pantry or a shelter, when you surround yourself with people who are fighting for the same things, who have the same belief systems you do about these certain topics, it is so rejuvenating. It is like a breath of fresh air. I know there is a local org here in St. Louis I'm involved with. I sit on their Young Friends board. And then whenever I show up every meeting, sometimes it's hard to show up to that meeting. It's in the evening. I have to drive out to the meeting location. I don't want to do it all the time. But when I get there and I'm then surrounded by these people who I absolutely adore, who are also wanting to make a difference here in St. Louis in regards to climate change, it fills my body with the warm and fuzzies every single time. I'm like smiling just even thinking about it. Like, I love my city. I love the people in it. And you truly should fall in love with your community, fall in love with where you live, fall in love with the people in it. Okay. And I don't mean romantically. Okay. I mean, unless you want to, that's up to you. But when you truly love your neighbors and love the people in your community, you will always have hope for them. You will always have a shred of optimism for them because they deserve it. They deserve to have somebody like you who cares fighting for them, whether they know it or not, whether they care or not. Getting involved in your community actively, physically, not online, is the best way for me that I have found curbs my climate and political anxiety. Now, y'all, if I keep giving answers this long, I don't know if we're gonna get through all these. We'll see. How do you clean the things you buy from the thrift store? I really want to thrift more, but worry a lot about bed bugs, eggs, moths, etc. that might be found in stuff. How do you clean your thrifted stuff and minimize your chance of getting a bug infection? Especially wondering how you handle delicate fabrics like knits or lace, as well as odd items like baskets, shoes, picture frames, etc. Okay, first, I'm just gonna say this. I have never brought something home from the thrift store that I found to have bugs or eggs or moths in it. Tell me if you have, because I just haven't. And this is like a worry I get from people quite often when I talk about thrifting on a regular basis. I have thrifted every piece of furniture in my home for the most part, I think. I can't think of anything right now that I haven't. Oh, my bed frame. I haven't my bed frame. I think that's it. So number one, inspect the items before you buy them. Even though these items are discounted, you don't have to rush to buy them. Take your time, look it over, pull things apart. I do that quite often. You know, like whenever I got this from Facebook Marketplace, this little lounger right here, I took this thing completely apart. I wanted to make sure there was nothing weird in it. I don't care if they thought I was crazy for ripping it apart. You're paying for it. You want to know. But in terms of cleaning easy to wipe down items, like say a picture frame, Lysol is going to be a great friend to you here. Just don't go spraying it and immediately wiping it off. Read the directions on the back. You actually have to let it sit for a little bit before wiping it off, so make sure you do that. Also, little cleaning brushes and having an old toothbrush for cleaning things like baskets is really helpful. For the most part, baskets really just need to be spot cleaned and then generally wiped down and dusted. I would have on hand a really mild soap, so something unscented, you know, like a Dr. Bronner's unscented soap. Dilute it with water and use that mixture to kind of scrub on things like baskets, picture frames, etc. if you don't want to use Lysol or any other disinfectant spray. If you decide to soak a basket because it's pretty dirty, just make sure you air dry it for as long as possible, preferably in the sun, to make sure it's bone dry. And when it comes to fabrics, if you're doing something like thrifting a rug, my top two things are one of those little Bissell cleaners that you spray the cleaner and then you suck all that gunk out. Yeah, those things are totally awesome. You can find them on Facebook Marketplace too a lot of the times. Beyond that, you can also take things to car washes. Clip your rug up like it's a car mat at the car wash and use those washers to spray down those rugs and get everything off of it. I've also done that with shoes that were really dirty. Took them to the car wash and just whoosh, knocked them with that. It's totally awesome. I definitely recommend it if you don't want to like purchase something like a Bissell cleaner. Baking soda will also be your friend for removing smells. Sprinkle it on, leave it for 10-15 minutes, then vacuum it all up. Having a really good quality vacuum also helps with this. And for those delicates, it's always going to be a hand wash in the bathtub. At least for me. If you have other suggestions on how you like to wash those delicate knits or laces, please leave it down below. I would love to hear what you do. But for me, it's putting that really mild, typically fragrance-free detergent in the water with the knit, with the lace, rubbing it in with my hands a little bit, letting it soak for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, rinsing it, drying it, doing it again if I need to. Some of these delicate items are really great to thrift, especially for your wallet. And with just a little bit of love, just one afternoon, one evening of love poured into it, you're gonna have something that's gonna last you a really long time. Where should I start if I've only recently come across your videos and did not have an environmentally friendly lifestyle? And again, thank you for saying you love the videos. I'm glad you guys find any type of help or value in this content. It makes me so happy every single time. Well, if you've just started watching and you're just now dipping your toes into a more sustainable lifestyle, I want to let you know that I am not the only one doing this, not even by a long shot, but I forget that I know these things and I don't always share them with you all. So I am going to leave a list down below of some of my favorite climate creators with YouTube channels. And if we talk about beyond YouTube, go to my Instagram and go through my list of people I'm following. You will find so many great ones, I promise you. But again, we're on YouTube and I know y'all watch YouTube, so I'll leave some of those YouTubers below. If you are also new to sustainable living, let me introduce you to my 2 e-tools that might be able to help you out. When we don't have a sponsor on this channel, which is most of the time, I love talking about my e-tools so that you guys can help support this channel and keep everything free to access. If you want sustainable living without the constant overwhelm, check out my Green Living Tracker, a 100% customizable Notion template that helps you set goals, track your progress, educate yourself, and celebrate wins along the way. If you want to take it one step further, try checking out my e-guide, 30 Days to a More Sustainable You. Think of it as your starter kit for building sustainable habits that actually stick and shifting your mindset from just focusing on waste reduction in the home to actually becoming an active member in your local climate community. It's full of daily step-by-step actions that you can do 30 days consecutively, once a week, just whenever you have time. Both tools are designed to meet you where you're at and then dive deeper into your sustainability journey. If you want to check them out, I'll leave them linked in the description below. Okay, I'll let you get back into it. If you have a significant other, are they supportive of being eco-minded? Family members? Any tips for those who don't have the support of their close ones? It gets exhausting. I feel for you on this. You are definitely not alone here. I get comments like this every day, particularly from young people, particularly from people still living at home, where someone in their life, pretty close to their life, lives very differently from them and maybe isn't as supportive as they wish of their eco lifestyle. And I'll tell you this, I'm not one of those people who grew up with environmentalist parents and I grew up learning all these things and was super interested in sustainability. In all honesty, I just wasn't. It's barely something that crossed my mind growing up. Now, I knew my family was resourceful and they hated wastefulness, but to me, that didn't always translate to environmental issues until I got older, really until I was in college. I started New Lifestyle in 2020 as a way to document my lifestyle from the traditional quote-unquote American girl in the Midwest lifestyle to something more conscious, more sustainable. It's since turned into a lot more than just that. But back in 2020, which was only 5 years ago, that was me learning everything for the first time. That was me taking people with me for the first time. That means I didn't start really learning about this stuff and getting into this stuff until I was 20. I was living at home at the time. My parents did not understand what I was doing or why I cared so much, seemingly out of nowhere to them. And I found myself constantly nagging at them, pushing them, really being the person to like shame the other people in my life. And man, was that annoying. And man, was it not fun either. Now, 5 years later, we're in a very different place. Am I gonna say my parents are full-fledged environmentalists who care about everything I care about? No. But will I say they've made some drastic changes in some of their habits? Oh yeah. My dad is so into upcycling things, reusing things, never trying to buy something new or buy something he'll only use once. And my mom, someone who when I first started thrifting more, told me that she worked hard throughout her life so that I didn't have to do that and that I should be buying my clothes new. Fast forward to her last birthday she just had, she wanted a 100% thrifted birthday gift because it's now her favorite types of gifts to receive, her favorite types of things to find for her home. Those changes started happening in 2 ways. One, as I bought sustainable products for myself, my mom would take interest in them, especially because I was always on the hunt for things that worked just as good or better than industry standard products. And naturally, I'd rave about it, she'd see it, she'd try out these products instead. My dad's also a small business owner, so talking about how shopping more sustainably typically typically means supporting smaller businesses was great conversations to have with him. And overall, setting an example and just living the way I wanted to live without nagging them about the way they want to live, and them seeing how happy it made me, how content it made me to align some of my actions with my morals, they just simply picked up on it. And not just them, friends as well, other family members. These conversations did not happen overnight. These changes did not happen overnight. And in fact, I believe that they're still always changing in the way that I'm still always changing. In terms of my significant other, yes, I have a boyfriend. His name is Jacob. We've been together for almost 7 years now. I can't lie to you, he was supportive from the beginning. There was no conversations or convincing. He was just on board the whole time, so I'm very lucky there. My best piece of advice for you is to meet people where they're at and to connect things where their interest lies. What's the current hardest or previous hardest thing for you to implement in your sustainability journey? What helped or helps you keep up with it? I think the hardest part of my sustainability journey was dealing with the climate guilt. I struggled with that since the beginning. It's gotten better, but I certainly do still struggle with it. And I do wonder, let me know if you struggle with this too, because I got a lot of questions about reducing waste that is very minuscule pieces of waste. And a lot of questions are about little things that people can do in their everyday life, which I think are so important to make themselves feel better, but they just can't get past this one thing or can't get over this one product they still use. And they just beat themselves up about it. I can't say I haven't done that before. I absolutely have. But similar to the climate anxiety thing, getting involved in my community, getting involved with an organization, finding my climate people made me realize that even some of the most sustainable people you think you'll ever meet, they're not perfect either. Everybody has their thing. Everybody has their struggle. Whether it's out of wants or needs, it doesn't matter. The hardest part is dealing with that guilt of not being perfect, feeling like you could always do more to help the cause. And you just have to remind yourself that you, your friends, your family, your neighbors, your community, they are not the problem. In fact, they are all part of a solution. And I guess my advice is do your best to not get so hung up on it. And I know that's easier said than done. Trust me, it's a constant work in progress. Can you recommend places other than Goodwill and Savers in the St. Louis area that take clothing and household goods? And thank you for saying you love the videos. On my Binnable, which I have linked down below, I have an entire STL thrifting guide. But beyond that, I just learned that St. Louis has a free store. Literally, let me pull up the email. I just got something about it. It's called Free Store STL. It's right off Cherokee Street. And if you go to their website and sign up for their e-newsletters, they'll send out information about when they accept donations and also how you can volunteer. This is literally a free store. You drop off things and then people can pick them up for free. I think it's absolutely an amazing cause, and I highly recommend taking your stuff to there. But since they are only open sometimes for donations, definitely check out that thrift guide to find other places near you. What is the best way to update collections without over-consuming? I love this question because I am definitely not a minimalist, and I definitely do collect some types of things. And I have 3 main tips for dealing with if you're going to buy something or not to update your collection. Number 1, have a set amount of space for your collection. My example for this is my shoe rack. I bought a shoe rack for the bottom of my closet, and I can fill it up if I want, but once it's filled up, I cannot add more. I would then have to be doing the get rid of one to add one thing, which I try not to get to that point. But having a set amount of space for something and vowing to yourself you will not overflow it is one way to really help. Number 2, just simply seeking things out secondhand. If you're going to collect a bunch of knickknacks, if you're more of a maximalist decorator like me, I don't know, please shop things that are already in your community, shop things that are already in the supply chain that have already been made, instead of supporting new production and buying everything new. And number 3, asking yourself questions about longevity of this item. Why is it that you want to update or refresh this collection? Is there something you can do with X collection you already have to refresh it without buying something new? And then when you go to buy something new, asking yourself, how long do you think you will have it? Do you have a plan for it after you're done with it? Just to make sure you're consciously consuming everything. The last question I'm going to answer because my camera is dying. Why do people do what they do? Do not understand how anyone can throw out so much stuff as everyone does. I want to tell you a little bit more about how I got into this content to maybe help answer this question. When I was a freshman going into college, I was going to major in film. And then last minute, the summer before I started college, my college added a degree where you could major in social media and digital content strategy. It was brand new at the time. I hopped on that major so fast, that sounded so much more aligned with me. And it's obviously an extension of marketing courses. And I had great professors who were great at teaching you how to sell things. Throughout college, I kind of realized that a lot of marketing means making people think things that are artificial, that are not really real. Things like FOMO marketing or creating problems that don't exist. I quite literally remember a class where we had to market a product by coming up with a problem to sell that problem to the consumer and then tell them our product would fix it. That was a homework assignment. And it didn't feel right. I didn't like that aspect of my degree. I loved my professors. I loved my degree. I'm so happy I have it. But those aspects of just selling stuff and pushing and almost feeling like you're tricking the consumer rather than just catering to their needs, that I could not get behind. So I used my skills to start this type of work, this account, literally, which was selling an idea, which was selling a belief system almost, using my skills to show other people that they could live more consciously, live a lifestyle that's better for themselves, for their wallets, for their community, for the planet. That's what I wanted to do. But the reason why we got taught those methods is because they work. Marketing works. Big oil propaganda works. There's a lot of money poured into it. They have crazy advertisements that you can look back on. And the reason why advertisers can make a lot of money and the reason why social platforms are so big is because marketing works. People are marketed the idea that things are disposable. People are marketed the idea of convenience equaling disposable products. People are marketed the idea that plastic products can still be high quality products, and the marketing works. Similar to the question about it can be exhausting trying to make your family understand your lifestyle. Sometimes that anger is directed at the wrong group of people, right? Instead of saying, how could people do this? How could people throw out so much stuff? You might want to also think, how could companies do this? How could they create so much stuff and throw it out before it even reaches the consumer? How could companies do this? How could they make a product and not be responsible for the end of its life? How could companies do this? How could they pay terribly low wages, have terrible working conditions, and market and sell their product and completely hide that fact? Again, your community is something that can help you through so much. And the people in your community and the people in your life are not going to be perfect. Instead of just constantly working on making them perfect, live your life in a way that makes you feel good and talk about it. Share it, educate people on it. People will find you. People will connect with that. People will hear you. And they'll slowly start to pick up on that, I promise. But this little tisk, you're not doing enough. It's really easy to fall into that. And I'm not saying I haven't, I totally have. But I just want you to think of the people in your life and your community as the solution and not the problem. Well, that is all the questions I'm going to get answered today. If you would like me to answer your question in the future, please let me know down below. And we can do this same video format again. Other than that, thank you so much for being here. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Okay, love you.